The following is intended for mature audiences only.
Welcome to the news from Lalaland podcast. Yeah! Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the news from Lalaland, where three strange siblings will be sharing their story as usual through pop culture,
philosophy,
and creative nonsense.
Yes. And sometimes music. I'm your host, Sarah Sokol, of course, here with the infamous Nick and the infamouser Steph.
Aw, I thought you were going to give me a new word, like illustrious.
Oh, illustrious. That's a better one. We'll edit that out.
What's an infamouser anyway? One who infamouses people?
We're gonna edit it out.
Infamous is a verb now?
The notorious
let's
infamouser.
talk about you. That's your favorite topic.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I kind of I've been struggling a little bit in my own work, not the work that pays money, but my homework.
The important one.
Exactly. I've been staring at a big black canvas all day, trying to figure out what to do with it.
Is this your first time painting on a black canvas?
That was a weird way to say
It
that.
is. I've painted a lot of canvases black, though. I don't know why this one is intimidating me.
Interesting.
I'll get in there.
Well, because you do have to lay a base layer on of a different
big.
color.
It's the biggest.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, but it'll help with everything. I'm doing a dark toned one, I know, but it's just the biggest canvas I've ever worked with. So
Gotcha.
anyway, that's what's going on with me. But Steph, haven't you started a new job recently?
Recently, yeah. I'm terrible with time. The last couple weeks, let's say.
Last couple lifetimes, whichever.
Within the last few moments.
Wait, Steph, exactly when did you start this job? I don't think we can go on until we know your
What
start
are we,
date.
80? This is not how young people should be telling stories.
When I was, it seems like forever ago now. It must have been.
Who was I with now? Was that Terry Johnson I was with?
Well, it would have been in the 70s, because... old people, am I right?
Jeez. I do not endorse that statement.
Hey, some of my favorite people are old. God, I'm old.
No, but this new job is as, it's not really in the medical field, that's not how I describe it, but I basically just take calls for several different doctors' offices in California and do scheduling for them and message doctors and pharmacies and things like that. Just basic stuff that you don't have to be super well trained for. But it's nice to be helping.
Well, having a friendly face on the other side of the counter or a friendly voice on the phone means a lot to people. And I'd say it sounds like a cheesy thing to say, but honestly, as a consumer of healthcare, if, usually I'm feeling pretty shitty by the time I am seeking professional help, and to be greeted by somebody who's just treating you like trash, it makes it 10 times worse. So yeah, thank you.
I get that.
That's true.
But speaking of friendly faces,
oh.
This job has afforded me, maybe a little too friendly, this job has afforded me some interesting stories.
You tell.
You share. From all your giggling, I feel like it must be good.
There's definitely going to be sex in it, isn't there?
Well, it's a story about a friendly face.
Okay.
So I talked to a wonderful patient. They called in, and they were super fun. And every one of our patients has a profile picture associated with their chart. And I haven't been able to show anyone this picture to get a second opinion.
Which is good. HIPAA would forbid it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's why I can't share it. Yeah. Stupid Hippocrates.
Hypocrites.
But this person, they called in, and I was trying to help them and stay serious the whole time, but their profile picture was pretty unmistakably them with, and here I'm going to pause to ask what word I should use for this.
Whatever. We've said double anal fisting. So
Fair, okay.
The biggest cum blast
Okay.
you've ever seen in your entire life. Just
No, not the biggest I've ever seen in my life, but there was definitely cum on her face.
Oh,
But yeah, they were just totally friendly, didn't acknowledge it at all. They had to know, like, they came into one of our offices to take the picture.
oh my god.
Yeah, and I didn't even know how that was allowed. But,
Wow. Well, maybe it was the photographer.
oh, good lord. I guess anything is possible, but...
I don't even know like what transaction would have happened here.
I think it's pretty obvious what transaction happened
Or-
here.
Or they're both just. I'm just trying to imagine what they would have been trying to get out of the photographer to allow this to happen.
Come. I don't know why you're assuming this is a favor to a man.
Maybe they thought it would be good for their complexion.
Apparently is.
Good lord, that's not
By all
true.
accounts.
Wow.
I read a story. Well, okay, you can include this if you want, but I read a story once about a woman who did bukkake for a living, which, if you don't know, is what this non-binary patient did
Yeah, I know.
once.
Oh, the
but
ancient art of
many times over.
bukkake.
Yeah, bukkake.
Yeah.
And according to the story, apparently she had incredibly smooth skin. It was an interview.
Correlation.
So there you go. A
Causation.
lifetime.
Cum. Smooth skin. Gotta be connected.
Who is to say? Who
This
could
is a life
possibly
pro
test
tip.
this?
Our listeners will try it out and then they'll let us know.
Listeners, if any of you have ever tried the daily facial,
Oh no!
Or
just
also,
let us
if you
know.
have a
Let us know what.
if you have an in with like a major scientific endowment, we would definitely take donations to do an actual peer-reviewed study on this. But we definitely don't have the funding yet.
One of my favorite Craigslist postings is like a guy looking for a woman who wants to try out having semen smoothies.
Huh.
And he's like, it's a natural protein. It has all of these, good nutrients in it. And it makes sense if you think about it. It's like one of my favorite things now to try and justify.
It makes sense if you think
something
about it.
that's completely unjustifiable. If you think about it, it makes sense.
Well, I literally can't argue with you.
If you think hard enough about anything, you can eventually delude yourself.
I don't know. There are some things I don't think I could.
Yeah, but I feel like my work stories are somewhat less inspiring than yours.
Fortunately, I do not have a single cum-based work story. I am a nurse who does not happen to work in a fertility clinic or any other such medical profession which may involve the application, storage, use, or production of cum.
Application.
Well, I did actually. I've been a nurse for about 3 years, and I did perform CPR on a human who needed CPR on Friday. Actually, crazy end to a work week. And I work in a nursing job at a clinic actually with this fairly low risk. It's not like I'm an emergency room nurse or an ICU nurse or something like that. This is a place where healthy people are coming to do preventative medicine with me. So I was pretty surprised I had somebody just collapse all of a sudden, was chatting with me normally, and then suddenly collapsed on the ground, and had him hooked up to a heart monitor, fortunately. So we were able to see that he was in a lethal heart rhythm. He was banging on the wall for the nurse in the office next to mine to go get help, and the outcome of the story was good. Patient survived,
That's
lived.
good.
And
Not as good as it goes.
yeah, I feel really lucky that was my first CPR experience too, because another nurse was telling me that their first time with an experience like that was like the patient didn't survive, and their like kids and family were standing around watching, and super traumatic. So I feel
Yikes.
really
Wow,
lucky,
yeah.
and I'm sure that individual does as well. So
Yeah.
fun times.
Wow, that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Seems like quite an adrenaline rush.
Yeah, it really
probably.
was.
So you're basically Jesus, right?
raising
You're
the
bringing
dead.
people back from the dead now. Did you just say Lazarus, come forward?
If I'm unsuccessful at bringing them back with CPR, if that miracle isn't working, maybe we'll just try walking on water. Like the next step is just to toss them into a lake.
I feel like it's equally useful, to be honest.
And speaking of come stories, doesn't Jesus say, "Come to me" in that story?
Yeah, Jesus
Yeah.
or Lazarus, come forth.
And I shall make you fishers of
Oh, Lord.
men.
Fishes.
Well, that's a kind of a clumsy lead into our pop culture moment for today, where we will be discussing the one and only, the Holy Bible. Pop culture moment.
Yeah.
Is this the book that has Jesus in it?
Yeah, he's a small but significant part
It is,
of the Bible.
it's a group of books, some of which have Jesus, like 4.
4 of them have Jesus.
Yeah. How many total books are in the Bible?
Well, who knows?
Why?
No one
If
can.
you're gonna ask a question like that, you have to know the answer to it.
No one could really say.
The
for
answer
sure.
is 66.
Wait, really? It's that many?
The Bible brought to you by the devil? Question mark, question
Is
mark.
that an article that you're reading?
Is that your
I just
your
Googled
source
how many
for?
books are in the Bible.
Wait, okay, so if it's 66 books in the Bible, then 6% of them are about Jesus or have him as a character.
Wow.
Well, I think
Pathetic.
Christian theologians would disagree with you there, because they'll of course argue that all of the prophets are, and many of the stories are foreshadowings.
Yeah, that's true.
And all of this, of course, is just to establish our credibility here as people that can talk about the Bible. We're not just angry atheists over here making fun of stuff we found on a list
Well,
on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, you could be both. But yeah, I feel like
I said
the
not
Bible
just
was...
an angry atheist.
But yeah, the Bible, I count, and, my English professor when I was going to university also agreed that the Bible is not necessarily maybe part of pop culture, but it is part of the general culture of America.
Mhm.
And part of the literature references, they say, like, every English major should read the Bible and something else,
Well,
Moby
that's
Dick
our
or
mom's
something.
argument too for like having it in schools and stuff. Because how else can you understand a lot of media like Shakespeare, for example?
Well, yeah, just
Yeah,
English literature
exactly.
forever has been using Bible and songs. Actually, a lot of songs use biblical references, allusions.
Yeah. And, there's a lot of stuff I take for granted that I'm like, oh, that's obviously a Bible reference. And someone who, I have a friend who grew up outside of this country in a non-Christianity based society, and she never gets it. And I'm just like, I don't know. It's just something I take for granted. And I feel like that's because we not only read the Bible a lot, we got paid to memorize it.
Yeah, you guys got like an allowance for memorizing Psalms, didn't you?
Yeah, which I think we principally spent on like art supplies and action figures and candy bars.
Model rockets.
But yeah, we memorized the Psalms.
Not all of them, but
Started to.
several. I think at one point I probably knew up to Psalm 10 by heart, plus Psalm 50, because who doesn't know Psalm 50?
Yeah, have mercy on me,
Yeah.
O God, according to thy great mercy. I could do it right now.
Yeah,
probably.
yeah.
Show off.
So yeah, we have some cred. We've established our cred, but now we're all atheists, and realize how silly it is that book is taken so seriously. I mean, there's a lot of silly shit in the Bible, some really wonderful things too.
Yeah.
To clarify my stance, there are a lot of serious things in the Bible that I respect.
Yeah, and a lot of the silly things I feel like people sort of dismiss as being like, oh, that's the Old Testament, or oh, Jesus established a new regime, or like, oh, this is, not actually something that would be the Word of God. This is Paul's opinion. That would be New Testament. But, a lot of sort of excuses for it. Or like in the case of Orthodoxy, they're like, oh, there's a lot of external literature that explains more than what's in the Bible. Like, they're not necessarily like Protestants who are more strictly believe only the Bible is the one true word of God. Am I right in that?
Yeah, actually, we had and as you'll recall, when we were doing Running Start, we were in community college when we were in high to finish out high school, and there were these Christian evangelists that would stop through the cafeteria and argue with us every week. They had a day that they would do their ministry at the campus, and they decided that we were going to be like, and they would send different people to us every week. It was like we were a little bit of their proving ground. I guess my point is that we were Christian, but we were outside of the mainstream, what I would consider like pop Christian culture. Like,
oh, we had derogatory terms for those people, like Bible thumpers and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah, it's kind of ironic, but so the people who are in the Christian mainstream, the evangelicals, definitely like thought of us as outsiders, and we felt the same way about them. And the Bible being like a fairly like an important book in Orthodox culture, but the church itself and the writings of the church and the fathers being so much more important, we actually didn't have the Bible only as a thing in common with other Christians. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, and I would say it was still held as sacred, though, and it was still held to be like the Word of God. And and I was just kind of thinking, you mentioned earlier some things seem silly, some things seem like, that's super serious. How did we ever hand wave that away, you know? So I'm just curious kind of if you each have a favorite either story from the Bible or book from the Bible or something that sort of demonstrates what we've been talking about, or a logical inconsistency, or just sort of something that's so fantastical. Steph, do you have anything in mind?
Yeah, I have two things in mind, actually. One of them, I think I may have just said to you guys the other day. It's my favorite quote, or one of my favorite quotes of all time, and it's the opening line of Ecclesiastes, which is, okay. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity, saith the preacher.
That sounds like a Shakespeare quote.
It really
like
does, actually.
It's so dramatic.
It's like Hamlet, hello.
You think that was like somebody could have been like some monk was scribing away in Shakespeare's time, making a copy of like the King James Bible, and was like had just been reading or had just been to the Globe Theater.
Yeah,
as a research project.
The whole book of Ecclesiastes is full of dramatic quotes, though. That's where the phrase.
Oh, okay.
That's where the phrase "nothing new under the sun" comes from. Because he's saying everything is vanity. It's, we all assume we're so great, but really there's nothing new under the sun.
Wow.
Interesting.
Is Ecclesiastes a person?
I know that's the name of the book. I don't know that it's the name of the character.
I haven't actually read the whole Bible since I was very young. It's been a long time since I read some of those books.
Yeah.
So.
Same. But my favorite story that stands out from it is actually not from that book of the Bible. It's from the very first one, Genesis. And
Genesis, they say.
Genesis, yeah, I'm sorry. And no, but my favorite story from that particular book, at least, from Genesis.
Genesis!
Can I get through this, please? It's a really fucked up story. It's so fucked up I find it funny, but only because it's fictional. Or I assume it is. I hope it is. So there's a story. I think the character is Dinah. She falls in love with a foreigner, which to anyone who's ever read the Old Testament was very taboo for the quote-unquote chosen people. So her brothers were furious, and they decided to do something about it. They said, you can't marry our sister unless you and all the men of your people, of your whole nation, are circumcised. And as like a good faith demonstration.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the one. And he's
doing what to who?
No, and the prince the prince who fell in love with, I think it was Dinah. I'm just going to call her Dinah from here on out. The prince who fell in love with her was like, yeah, fuck it, I am that in love with her. And he had his whole kingdom circumcised. And then I believe the exact quote is something along the lines of, 3 days later, while all the men of the nation were still in pain, the Israelites descended upon them and killed every man, woman, and child. So they did it as like a strategy so that they wouldn't be able to fight.
Oh my god.
Isn't that messed up?
And
That's
that's all
insane.
God's idea.
Yeah,
That's
oh
not
my god
them.
was right.
Wow.
Wow.
But yeah.
Well, Nick, how many foreskins does your story involve?
There's a lot of
No
them in the
foreskins, but
Bible.
this one does have some cum. I shouldn't say that. I would say that as a joke because I was initially thinking like, obviously there are no Bible stories with cum in them, and then I realized that's like so not true.
Definitely are lots.
There's seed in like there's a whole parable about the sower of the seeds in the New Testament.
And there was the story in the Old Testament about the guy who masturbated and got swallowed up into hell.
Oh, I
Yeah.
don't recall.
That story in the Old Testament is actually the whole foundation of why Christianity is against masturbation.
Oh God, I didn't.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a waste of semen.
Yeah, because we need so much more of it. It's so precious.
That's one of the world's most abundant commodities.
Commodities?
It's a dying
Did you really
resource.
say commodities?
Oh no, wasn't even thinking that.
All right, Nick, continue with your story.
So for my story, I'm gonna dig into some of the really obscure parts of the Bible I'm sure you've never heard before. You guys know that verse, John 3:16?
Is that the one that's like, love, it was brings
No,
us
you
guys,
together
seriously.
today.
That's
Oh
Paul.
man, I forget. You guys don't live. So I live in a town that's famous for having. They broke some record in the 70s for having a ton of churches per capita. I live in a town surrounded by evangelical Christians. They're the most popular coffee shop in town. Has the numbers John 3:16 printed on every single cup.
Okay, what is John 3:16? I have to know now.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only one and only Son.
Oh.
Whoever believes in him shall perish and have eternal life.
The core tenet of Christianity.
Yep, has child sacrifice in it. Sorry, it was not child. I guess he was 33 when he died. So, in any case, that really does do a pretty good job of summing up like the main point of Christianity. And it just is like, but it also highlights, this is a blood cult about a God who sacrificed a human version of himself through torture, which was what was required, of course, as a loophole in the laws of the universe to save people from Hades and get them into heaven.
And then Jesus put on the gauntlet that had the final stone embedded within the knuckle, and with a single
And
snap.
he snapped.
Wait, no, that would be way better. Why couldn't he have
half
just
of
done
all
that?
life in the universe.
Apparently, he had to get murdered horrifically and publicly, and very publicly. Yeah. Well, I guess there are many Christians that argue that that's necessary.
So you're saying your favorite
Yeah,
story from the
maybe.
Bible is
The quintessential Christian.
that he rose from the
story.
dead?
No. That the rising from the dead's not any part of that quote. It's all just that Jesus gave his son to get killed for everybody.
John is responsible for my favorite Bible-based
Oh, really?
joke,
Oh, really?
which is, yeah, Jesus said, "John, come forth and receive eternal life." But John came fifth and won a toaster.
That's good.
I'm sorry, Sarah, I interrupted you for that.
I didn't prepare a specific story myself, but I thought I would share a list from the internet of the top 10 most interesting Bible quotes.
You're losing your cred, by the way. This is everyone decreases your cred by 10%.
Deuteronomy 23:1. No one whose testicles are crushed or whose male organ is cut off shall enter the assembly of the Lord.
All right.
So I don't have
afraid.
to. So he's saying if your testicles get crushed, you get to skip church that day. That's the only way I get to get out of church.
God hates men without dicks.
Or worse, you don't get to actually go to heaven.
Oh, the assembly. Oh, God. I was thinking he meant church. Oh.
What if it's the
Oh,
assembly of the Lord,
no.
as in
Oh, like
the assembly
Like
with a
heaven?
capital A?
eunuchs don't get to go to heaven, apparently.
This guy's castrated. Get him to hell.
Yeah.
Send this eunuch to hellfire.
Here's one from Genesis 38. Then Judah said to Anan, "Go in to your brother's wife and perform your duty as a brother-in-law to her and raise up offspring for your brother."
Oh.
I don't know. That's still better than the one about the daughters having sex
Yeah,
with their
true.
father.
It's not really the worst one.
I think there's plenty of incest in the Bible. You draw from a hat
That was
there
a-
and get.
Here's a good one that'll fit into the earlier theme of the episode. Yeah, it's from
Tell me.
Ezekiel 23. Yet she
Mm.
increased her prostitution, remembering the days of her youth when she engaged in prostitution in the land of Egypt. She lusted after their genitals as large as those of donkeys, and their seminal emission was as strong as that of stallions.
Whoa.
Horse comes in the Bible, canonically. Is that about Mary of Egypt? It's got to be about Mary of Egypt, right?
Oh, one of these is the foreskin story, Steph.
Oh, nice. Wow.
The one
Yeah.
about David?
Yeah,
David and the
you beat him to
foreskins, as
it.
I call it? Wait, no, that there might be a different story, because I'm thinking of a different foreskin
It says,
story.
Saul said, "Thus you shall say to David, the king desires no bride price except 100 foreskins of the Philistines, that he may be avenged of the king's enemies."
Yeah. That's the one.
Yeah, that's a different
Now
foreskin
Saul thought
story.
to make David fall by the hand of the Philistines, and when his servants told David these words, it pleased David well to be the king's son-in-law. Before the time had expired, David arose and went along with his men and killed 200 of the Philistines. And David brought their foreskins, which were given in full number to the king, that he might become the king's son-in-law. And Saul gave him his daughter Michal for a wife.
He brought in 200 foreskins of
Can
his
you imagine what
enemies.
that bag or box looked like? Crate?
It's literally a bag of dicks.
I brought these cut off penis parts for you. Have my daughter.
How are they presented? Because I imagine David, the badass warrior, walking in and just like upending a bag. A sack full of foreskins on the floor.
Maybe the foreskins were still attached to the men, and he just had them all grabbed like a like a cluster of balloons
Oh.
each. Like
That implies that they referred to men by their foreskins. I have 4,000 good foreskins
4,000
with me in this war.
Ready for battle, my lord.
well, that's worth my firstborn daughter.
All right, last one, and then we'll move on to the Sokolism of the day.
God.
This is from Deuteronomy 25.
You gonna do what to me?
Deuteronomy. If two men, a man and his countrymen, are struggling together, and the wife of one comes near to deliver her husband from the hand of the one who is striking him, and puts out her hand and seizes his genitals, then you shall cut off her hand. You shall not show pity.
What?
There you go, ladies. Keep your hands to your fucking selves. That's what I'm saying.
So the,
Ooh, okay. You're gonna need to go back to the beginning. So the woman is being
no.
beaten?
Two men, a man and his countrymen, are struggling together. One of the men's wives comes to
okay.
deliver her
Yeah,
husband
fine.
from the hand of the one who is striking him. But she
What if she
accidentally
grabs his
puts her
dick, her
hand
hand
upon his
goes?
genitals, then
The-
you shall cut
the
off
countryman?
her hand.
The countryman?
Yes, I
Oh.
think so. She's like,
Presumably
she's
the
palming
Wait,
countryman's
his
does it say
genitals
by
to get him
accident?
away from her husband.
Does it say by
Doesn't
accident?
specify.
Because I think the whole story is just a misunderstanding of the situation. It was written by a scribe who didn't really understand what was going on, but the countryman definitely was having an affair with the wife, and that's why they were fighting. Obviously, guys don't fight over anything else. And then the girl runs in. The scribe
think they were
assumes that
fighting.
she's there for her husband, but actually she's there to protect her lover, and she runs up and grasps his penis one last time because she thinks he might die at the hand. Her husband is kind of a badass, and
A little
gave
dick
him a
hug.
little dick hug.
Palm pat.
And she gets her hand chopped off by her husband, who's obviously angry at both of them, and obviously justified, and
All right.
little bloodshed there.
But because of a scribe's misunderstanding, it was instead made a law.
My take is that her husband was having the affair with the other
Oh
man,
shit!
and she walks in and contaminates her hand with gay cooties. And now her hand has to be chopped off.
Or maybe she was trying to they were docking.
Get
They
off
were over
my
there in the
husband.
corner doing their docking thing, and it was their last chance before getting circumcised the next day.
Oh.
And she's trying to separate them apart, and
Because they knew David would
you
be
don't
coming
stop a
by
man
in a
mid-dock.
crazy foreskin stealing rampage.
It'd be like
Bring out your foreskins.
the Philistine stood on the edge of town, looking at the cloud of dust in the distance that only could mean one thing. The horde of the Israelites were approaching. Quick! Turn to the man nearest you and dock thee with him. That you use your foreskin for good.
Merge thy foreskins.
For thy foreskin shall not survive the night.
Yes. Well, that was really fun.
Yeah, this has been a lot of penis
Yeah.
talk. I think we should avoid talking about any male people of any kind during the Sokolism of the day. We should avoid the topic of foreskins, and especially...
Come.
And if you're going to talk about foreskins, especially don't make it about 4,000 foreskins.
So instead, let's just move on from all of that altogether to the Sokolism of the day. Sokolism of the day. So we have talked about Dad a lot during the Sokolism of the day. I thought, he is like a really big sort of energetic personality and like a huge force in all of our lives. But we were hugely influenced by our mom as well. And she is kind of an equally powerful energy, but just in a different way. She's like the still on the surface, but with the fierce current underneath.
Oh yeah, she was the scary one for sure.
Yeah. Well, she definitely, people say this about their moms, but it's certainly true in our case that she held us together between all the crazy Sokol antics that were going on, our obsessions, Dad's obsessions. Nothing productive ever would have happened, and we wouldn't have eaten very well if it weren't for Mom.
That's probably true.
Yeah. And Dad, he was such a opinionated, strong, stubborn guy. He needed someone that strong to kind of push back.
Yeah.
And on our behalf, sometimes she was kind of our friend in a way of the household.
Well, that I didn't feel so much. In my case, Dad was the one who got to come home from work and just play with us and have all the fun times. Mom actually used to complain of this, that he got all just the fun stuff, and she was the one who had to actually make us do school and eat our vegetables and things.
Aww. Yeah, so she had a lot of energy of her own, and she also drove a lot of our interests that are kind of more classy, I would say. We did the hippie mountain stuff with Dad. He was really into that. And then we did the literature, the music, the poetry, the cooking. All of that was all Mom. And we were all in plays together and all of our group readings, which we've been talking about maybe doing a live production of some kind sometime on the
that would
podcast.
be just like the sort of thing that we would have done as kids, and Mom would have definitely been the spearhead of that operation. She organized plays, school or church plays with all the kids every year. It was just her that would organize.
She always encouraged us, even when we were not ready, when we tried to put on the play from The Sound of Music, the High on the Hill, Set a Lonely Goat.
Oh yeah.
And we tried to do the puppet play. And we just like failed and like broke down crying.
Yeah. You know what I think summed up Mom's classiness perfectly for me? I was thinking about this the other day, and I texted her and we talked about it for a while. Is every Sunday night, I don't know if you guys got this, but every Sunday night, especially in summer, is some of my fondest memories. We'd open up all the windows and we'd listen to jazz on NPR on the radio. Mom would turn on the jazz because that's what they did every Sunday. People would read and we'd have a nice dinner and stuff. I just have fond memories of Sunday nights, and because they were always made classy by Mom's efforts.
The sweet sound of saxophones.
Well, she's also the reason that we like classical music too.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
True. That's true.
I have, it's actually the reason, like, I feel like anybody can get into classical music, let's say Beethoven, for an example, as an adult and learn to appreciate it. But there's something, like, if you really did grow up listening to Beethoven and loving it as a kid, there's that feeling of nostalgia that can come with music that you just won't get if you didn't experience it when you were younger. So, like, I have positive memories of being in the living room and dancing around to Beethoven's Fifth and Ninth. And
Yeah, well, and getting to perform in classical, like I was able to join a symphony orchestras because she was always really encouraging of the classical arts.
yes.
Well, and also just you were talented. You have always been talented.
Did that sound like a humble
A
brag?
little bit,
Well, no,
yeah,
I
but
think
it was earned.
I understand the point, though, was that some people's talents get squashed by their parents. They're discouraged. And Mom was definitely there to inspire us to be creative
or
and artistic.
In our case, and in our case, it felt like an indulgence to be able to have, like, those things are expensive, being able to purchase good quality instruments and go to all of the, classes and teachers and, seminars and conferences, violin conferences, those things.
You did all this
That
stuff.
sounds amazing.
Yeah, Steph, what do you think is like something? I mean, you mentioned jazz on Sunday nights. Did you get into many of the plays or church stuff?
Yeah.
That we put on the church.
Yeah, I
productions?
definitely got in on some of the plays. I don't think I was ever a main character, because of an accident, really, in timing. I was just always a little awkwardly young to be old enough to be one of the main characters, Like, I was always just like a couple years behind most of the other kids, or a few years ahead of them, which when you're younger makes more of a difference.
That's true. You were in a lot of our plays, but you would be like the little child huddling by the fire.
Yeah.
And
But I also got to deliver a monologue once. This is another thing Mom organized. She organized a medieval feast at the church.
Oh, that was after my time.
Yes, I remember this.
That's so cool, though.
Yeah, she planned a whole feast. There was like mutton and bread bowls for soup and things like that. Like
Nice.
a fake stone wall that she bought and everything. But I got to do a monologue at that from Shakespeare. The St. Crispin's Day speech, I think that's what it's called.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, can you share one of the famous final lines of that
sure.
speech so people know what you're talking about?
It's we few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he today who sheds his blood with me shall be my brother. Be he ne'er so vile this day shall make his name remembered.
Wow. I'm impressed.
Beautiful.
That is awesome.
And so on like that.
Nice.
Yeah, Shakespeare knew how to write a good speech. Who knew?
Oh, that's true. He is so good at it. It's hard to
He's
be
fine.
the bard.
It's hard to be the bard, baby.
Well, Nick, do you have any favorite roles from your times in the sun? Because you did play some main characters, as I recall.
I remember playing the old shopkeeper from the old country, probably the generic.
From Zistar
And
and
apparently I
Zavindo.
spoke with some kind of nondescript accent. I was like,
I think it was German
The star in
accent.
the
For some reason,
I don't know why I was
Oh,
German.
man.
Someplace in the old country where we speak with accents and
Yeah, unnamed old country.
I think I've seen a recording of this performance.
Yeah.
It's so good.
one
I
exists
think
on
so, yeah.
VHS somewhere.
I still have such fond memories of our like table readings of plays too. Like it wasn't always official
yeah.
performances.
Mm.
Like it was like an annual tradition to do a Christmas Carol, wasn't it?
For a little while, yeah.
Yeah, we would do the Christmas Carol for a while, and sometimes just at home we'll do it just, for fun. Mom loves it. She always does a great voice for Mrs. Cratchit's character. That's her favorite.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
I was
my
one of the Cratchits in a play.
oh
once.
really?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I went and saw that. That was amazing. You were like in a professional production.
Nice.
In the round.
Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, all that shit came from Mom. Is the point.
I think my favorite role that I ever had was Duke Borislav from King Wenceslas. Definitely a side character, but I added in a part where he draws his sword and goes out to, I think they see, the story of King Wenceslas, they see the starving serf out on the mountainside. By St. Peter's beard, the boy's right. There is someone on the hillside. And
he like storms out.
yeah, Duke
right?
Borislav is like super
The
upset
sword in
about
hand
this.
to kill
Like,
the serf.
how dare he be poor
I'm
out?
gonna kill that fucking serf.
I shall tell the gods to seize him at once.
I'm gonna slit his throat upon my blade.
But apparently, I thought it was fitting to draw a sword, and I hammed that character up a bit. He was a very hot-headed Duke. Not a fan of poor people.
That was a fun play to put on because we would do some elaborate.
It was not great writing, so we had to do our own.
Yeah, but the opening line of that play is so
Oh,
great.
we can do it.
I don't know, sir. What is time to a pig?
Yeah, that's the opening line.
Huzzah!
I don't know, my lord, what is time to a pig? And everyone laughs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a fake old-timey joke that's like not actually a real
I know.
punchline to anything. Yeah.
Oh man. Well,
I think my favorite role was from The Star in the Window, from when you were the old man with the unnamed accent,
oh yeah.
and I was a rich woman.
You were Karen.
with a fake fur muff. And I came in and I was like, I'm going to report you to the Better Business
I
Bureau.
remember that.
Better Business Bureau. It's
You
so
were the best
good.
part of the whole play. Me and my co-star were so lame. And then you busted in with your like awesome, like fully developed character,
How dare you!
being the ultimate Karen. Do we have a pointless conjecture today?
Pointless conjecture. So I think I have some questions that I can ask. I can ask one to each of you, and you can answer.
Why don't you start with one question, ask it to one of us, and if the other one wants to answer it, they can, and then we can see if we still have time to do more, if we need more questions.
Here is a pointless conjecture question. I will say this is from me to both of you, but to Steph to start out with.
Ooh, alright.
If you're going to be a fucking sellout, what types of
Jesus
products?
Christ. It's a confrontational start.
Yeah. What types of products would you be willing to let your music and or art be used for, a commercial for? And what types of products would you refuse? Or would it be sort of an all or nothing scenario?
Well, you know my opinions on the bourgeoisie from last time I was here. But no, I would take, I don't know, it depends. It's a complicated question. Like, it depends on how much I need it, I guess.
You really need it.
If I'm stable enough
No, this is your income.
Okay. Yeah, if I'm stable enough to not take on sponsors, I think I would rather do it that way.
Well, I'm saying
But-
you've gotten
Great.
to the point where you are taking on sponsors.
Answer the
but
question.
You have a bit of a choice about what types of sponsors you could accept.
Fine. This is not going to be a funny answer.
Would you allow your
Like condoms?
yeah, or male enhancement? Not that those get advertised anymore.
No. Just, I guess, like a meditation app or something. I don't know. I told you it wouldn't be funny.
No, this is why you say what you wouldn't allow it for. That's where the funny comes in.
That's a good point. All right, good point. Yeah, I wouldn't allow it for, like, once a thing gets too big, it's automatically evil except for dogs. And,
Okay.
so I think, like, if Coke or Pepsi or Disney or something wanted to sponsor, I think I would be less cool with that than I would for, like, a local brand or a meditation app or, some sex positive.
Oh, like a local
thing.
brothel
Yeah,
or a
okay.
local strip club wanted to sponsor you?
On one of my favorite podcasts, they were, other than this one, of course, this one's number one for me.
Well, thank you.
But on that other podcast, they got advertisements from Extreme Restraints, which is a sex toy website,
Oh, yeah.
for a long time, and I would do that for sure.
Yeah.
So if a local strip
would have a
club
brand.
approached you
Sexy, sex positive.
and the strip club approached you and said, "Hey, we heard that you recently wrote a textbook on psychology, and we were thinking that if you need a sponsor, we would love to advertise your product at our strip shows."
My product being a textbook, right?
Yeah, that's what I imagined that you would have produced by this point in your life. This is what you're selling
They
out
walk
for.
out, like, they walk out nude holding a psychology textbook.
Oh my god, have you heard of psychology?
This is Psychology 69.
Oh my god.
Sorry.
Wait, I have to write 68 other editions of this thing.
You have to write 68 other editions.
Version
Before
6.9.
the strip club edition.
They're like, we do this to all local authors. As soon as they hit a version 6.9 or 69, we feature them for a night at our strip club, and you'll receive $1 billion for doing this. Will you accept?
I love the idea of strip clubs being like social spaces for other things. Come to our book club.
Yes. Oh, man.
But there's just strippers in the background.
Hey, business people do it all the time.
And there could be like a reverse strip
That's
club
true.
night where like the strippers get to be fully clothed and watch, and like random people just come in and pay the strippers to watch them do a pole dance. We should go into business. This is going to be awesome.
It's audience participation night, not like you're thinking.
No, you have to do a dance. And yes, we will throw vegetables at you if you suck.
Well, Nick, what about you?
Oh, if I were going to sell it, well, it would depend on how much money they're offering me. I don't have any illusions that if a significant if the dollar amount was large enough, it would be they would take something truly horrendous. It would have to be Hitler advertising or something to keep me away. Like a crazy amount of money, how much good you could do with that is worth being really embarrassed or selling some kind of, something that I don't agree with, like a Coke ad. Like, I think Coke is terrible, and it's
Well, I
giving
think it
people
depends
diabetes.
on how strong your sense of the association is between who causes the problems that you're trying to solve with the money that's being given to you.
Oh, so you're saying it just puts me into a weird
know?
cycle where I'm like advertising for Coca-Cola and then
Using
paying
the
to
money they
build
give you to
wells
solve water
for-
crises in other
Yeah.
countries.
for people who've been deprived of water
Yeah,
by
exactly.
Coca-Cola. That'll show them.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
So then I'm just ethically neutral at that point. I might as well have done nothing. I don't have my money anymore because I used it all to build wells. And neither have I done anything good or bad. It's just the plain oatmeal of ethical dilemmas.
Yeah.
Do you guys want a question from me? I have one.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay, this is my pointless conjecture,
Mm-hmm.
although it may have a point. Who knows? Okay, so suppose a clone was created of you. An exact clone in this moment was created of you. And it could never be done again, and you can't get rid of them. Number one, what would you decide to do with yourself? And number two, do you think you'd get along?
So the clone has been created. Did I choose to do this?
It just happened. You could have chosen it or not. It's what it is.
Okay. Gotcha. Go ahead, sir.
An exact clone of me. Did you say that it would have all of my memories?
Yes, all of your memories, everything. I mean, it's going to start deviating from this point out,
Right.
but
That makes it complicated.
it's still you.
And does it love all the same people that you love?
Yup.
Awkward.
Otherwise, it wouldn't be an exact clone.
Oh, this is a good question. I have to think
Oh,
about it.
and how comfortable, Nick, would your spouse be with this situation? Two of you.
It reminds me of that Cardi B song where she's like, if you had a twin, I would let you run the train.
What?
Jesus Christ.
I just read a book. What was it called? Dark Matter. It was not a very good book, but it was about a guy who basically the multiverse exists in this story. And this is one of those stories that's going to sound better when I describe it than it actually was to read. But some other version of himself, he was a scientist, a physicist, some other version of himself in another multiverse, because there's infinite multiverses, created a Schrodinger's box thing that he could get into and travel between universes. And so the scientist who created the box wasn't happy with his life, so he hopped in and found the doorway leading to the best version of his own life in a different multiverse, kidnaps himself and puts him back. And then in the guy's journey to get back to his original life through the multiverse, he collects every new decision that he makes collects another clone of himself that exists in another multiverse. So he keeps splitting off. So he finally makes it back to his wife, and there's 1 million copies of him all fighting each other to get to the woman.
Oh no.
And she finds out about it, and she knows that there are perfect copies with all of his memories up to a certain recent point in the town that are just dying to get back to her. And she picks the one that finds her, with the dubiously ethical claim that the fact that he was the one who outsmarted all the others and found her means that he was the real or the original one somehow, or that it was meant to be somehow.
Okay, but is that what you would do? I mean, the situation you've described is cool, but it's wildly different from
No,
this
I'm
one.
just saying, you're in that book, you're in a situation where you're standing there with someone who's an exact clone of you, and you both love the same woman. And I guess in that case, Allison would just have to let us fight to the death, and whichever one either bested or outsmarted the other one, it was meant to be. The universe decided that we would meet each other in college and fall in love and get married. And then the universe is also going to decide who wins in this fucking all out to the death.
I guess that answers my next question, which was, would you have sex with yourself?
I will not be answering that question on the air.
But Nick, think about how mild-mannered you are.
I know.
You really think that you would suddenly just try to murder yourself? Two versions of you suddenly become a murderer?
Well, if they're talking about taking away my family,
Would you try to take away your own family? Would you try to separate yourself from your family?
But who is you? They're both you.
wow, this is a typical Sokol way overthinking of this question. All I fucking had to say was, we're going to hide the fact that there's a clone. One of us is going to hang out at home all day, and we'll take turns going to work. The other one is going to go to work.
The prestige!
And the other one's just going to hang out at home and make great art and music and watch fun shows and make good food. And
Oh, great art.
well,
is
you're
it?
going to have twice as much time. Imagine what I could create. And be like, Nick got really productive lately. It's almost like has 2 full-time lives. You're like, fuck yeah.
And you'll spend none of it fathering your children.
They're all at school during the day. My stay-at-home self could just...
So you don't think there's any way you could, like, share your marriage?
No, I probably could. I'm pretty easygoing, but
Yeah.
But if one of you gets wounded, then the other person will have to copy the wound exactly.
That's true.
So,
Oh, like with the
Really
double
good
life.
point.
yeah.
Is this what you would do, Sarah? Would you go a different way with this?
No, so I feel like it would depend if this clone had a place to live, like, or if they would be coming to me and like, can we be roommates?
Well, which one is you? Again, they're both you.
Well, I'm me, and I'm assuming I've been living in this house, and then one day a clone just knocks on the door.
Yeah, but they are an exact clone of you in that moment,
Yeah.
so they also have been living in this house.
Well, but how would that... No, they would have the memories of it, but they wouldn't have actually
And the
been.
experiences.
No, how can that be?
What else is a memory? They have the experience in the same way you still do.
So you're saying I could be the clone with the memories of it?
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to tell the
Yeah,
difference
you might
at that
as well
point,
be. You're an exact copy. You equally had those experiences.
as far as you're
now.
concerned. Yeah.
But I'm the one opening the door from the inside.
Okay, yeah, true.
And they
Like, you'd
say,
still have
hi, I'm your clone. I woke up 10 minutes ago and drove over here because I knew this is where we live. I live here now as well.
For now, until one of us leaves. But I've
Fight
lived
to
here
the
my
death.
whole life, so have I.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like in that case, it would be sort of a weird adjustment phase. We would have to figure out if we could live with each other. To answer your question, I don't think we would have sex with each other, but just because it would feel super incestuous, you know? Like it would be kind of weird.
But it's masturbation.
Exactly, but it
No,
would just feel
it's a
weird.
different it's a different conscious entity at that point. It's not masturbation. But you would just have a
But it's not
potentially
really incest either.
Yeah, it's not incest. You're not related.
It would probably feel more like more like conjoined twins that got separated having sex.
Like, I don't know if I'm sexually attracted to myself. I would have to wait and see if there was a spark.
Both of you would have the same fantasies and dreams.
That's true. That would be weirdly intimate. It's a weird layer to add
Does that
on to
make
this.
it better or worse?
I'm sorry. Okay, but the part neither of you really answered is whether you would get along with yourself.
I feel
Not
like
sexually,
I
but
would.
just as a person.
Because I would know, like, we would both know what each other had been through and the types of thought. I feel like we would really understand each other and understand how much each other needs, like, alone time, so we wouldn't get into each other's space a lot. But it would still, you know, like, it would be cool to have a companion who got you on that level. And I feel like I know how to stay out of the way, which is a thing. We could stay out of each other's way. So
good.
yeah, I feel like I would get along well. We could live together, maybe have sex, I don't know. And then, yeah, kind of similar thing as Nick. I would probably share her existence with you guys because you're so open-minded, Steph, and Nick would probably be weird about it.
Oh, shit.
But he would get used to it eventually. He would.
Oh, shit.
But which one is the real Sarah?
Well, I would get a new tattoo or something to distinguish between us.
Do you want to be referred to by they, them pronouns? Not because you're non-binary, but because you're plural.
Only if we start going everywhere together. But I think I wouldn't share her existence with, like, work people. I think we would do like Nick and do a trade-off, a tradesies thing.
Oh, fuck working. I have an exact clone. I think I can make bank just going on TV.
Oh, really? You would sell out your clone? You would sell each other's existence out for money?
No,
Wait, in this
no.
hypothetical, you decided that you were the one who invented and discovered how to make the clone? This isn't like an alternate reality where clones can just
No.
happen?
Yeah, I think the clone just showed up.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
But also, to answer the question no one asked, we'd have sex probably and get along super well.
And this has been the news from La La Land, where the foreskins stand ready, my lord.
Where the jazz is always smooth.
Hi, Mom.
If you are enjoying this show, please consider leaving us a review on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts, or simply email us at voiceofsokol@gmail.com. We would love to hear your feedback. The theme music for this podcast was written and recorded by Nick and Sarah Sokol, and the music you are hearing right now was performed by the band Nuage on their album Noof, available on iTunes and Spotify. The News from La La Land is a production of Voice of Sokol. To learn more about the Sokols and their creative content, head to voiceofsokol.com.